Well, guys, it is officially 2024. I wish you all a happy new year. Let's hope that 2024 is going to be a great year for all you guys. Now, this video is going to be the first of three videos that I have planned. So, um, now I think we should start the new year off by looking back on some of the films that we saw last year, both the worst and the best. Now I'm going to start off with the worst. Now, to be fair, I thought 2023 was honestly a very good year for movies because I thought there was a lot of good films released this year. However, this definitely wasn't a perfect year, and yeah, we did get a fair amount of crap this year. And today, I figured I should look back on some of those films which I was not a fan of. So, without further ado, today I will be doing my top 10 worst movies of 2023. So, before we start off the list, I'm going to start with two brief honorable mentions. I did not like either of these movies, but ultimately, they both stayed off the list. Those two movies are Insidious the Red Door and 65. Now, I did not like either of these films. I found the both of them very disappointing. Insidious the Red Door is, without doubt, the weakest film in a series which up until now hasn't had any bad movies. And 65, a movie which you guys may remember last year I put on my list of my most highly anticipated films for the year. Because I thought the movie looked awesome from the trailers, but the end product was something that was really boring and forgettable. So yeah, I did not like either of these films, but ultimately they're not as bad as the 10 films I have on this list. So, both of these films, while not good movies, they managed to stay off the list as just honorable mentions. So, with my two honorable mentions out of the way, let's get onto the list. Here is my top 10 worst movies of 2023. Kicking our list off at number 10. This is a movie which I saw last January, so it's been nearly a whole year now since I saw this movie. This was only the second film I saw in 2023, and what you know, ended up on my worst list of the year. I don't think this was the worst film I saw this year. It is definitely one of the most forgettable movies I saw this year. I honestly really forgot about this one sometime after I saw it. At number 10, we have The Enforcer. Honestly, this film, I don't really have anything that interesting to say about it. a very like generic action film, which honestly it was honestly just a really it was just very uninteresting. I hardly remember this film at all. It just it just honestly it just feels like a film which Antonio Banderas agrees to do just for a quick paycheck. I don't think it's a terrible film, but like, with that being said, it was just really forgettable, and I forgot about it soon after watching it. It just wasn't very good. The characters were very bland and forgettable. The performances, for the most part, weren't very good, and yeah, I just thought this was a really forgettable and bland movie. Not terrible though, because like in terms of redeeming qualities, I do think that Kate Bosworth is very good in it as the villain, and also thankfully it was only 90 minutes long, one of the shortest of the films I saw this year, so yeah, it went by pretty quickly, so thankfully I didn't have to suffer through it for too long, but honestly, this was just a really bland, forgettable movie, and yeah, I'm gonna forget all about it as soon as, like, once again, as soon as this video goes up. However, thankfully, straight after this movie, Antonio Banderas went on to do Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And to say that was a major improvement would honestly be an understatement. Well, but then he did Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny then afterwards, so yeah, I guess he's not completely safe, but yeah, anyways, The Enforcer, just a really generic film. I don't recommend it, honestly, unless you just want this background noise. Don't bother with this one. Moving on. Number 9. Now, in recent years, I have honestly begun to really dislike Disney as a company, just for how they always seem to care about like about their big IPs and not on like their animated films, which is what got them to being so incredibly successful in the first place. But in terms of what animated films they have been putting out in recent years, it has not been that great. Last year they gave us Strange Worlds, which was a very bad movie. And then this year they gave us the number 9 spot on this list, Wish. This was not a good film for the Disney studio. Oh yeah, this was I thought this movie looks quite fun from the trailers. I didn't think it looked great or anything, but I thought it looks like a decent film and a fun time. But oh yeah, the people who were concerned about this one were definitely right, because oh, this was not a good movie. Like I do think the animation. I actually quite like the animation style of this movie because it does do something original and it is kind of nice. I like the storybook kind of look to it, so I'll give it that. Voice acting in it is decent. What really brings this one down is just how utterly lackluster its plot is. Like, honestly, a lot of people have been saying that this film feels like it was written by an AI, and I would not be surprised if that were actually the case, because, oh god, like, yeah, it definitely does, and the characters in it are just not very good at all. I mean, I kind of liked Asha, but outside of that, oh, they were just, the characters in this film were really not very good. The pacing was very bad as well. The film just it just went through everything just so quickly and didn't feel even at all. I thought just the story in general, it was structured so poorly. Things seemed to happen much sooner than they should have. And the songs in the film, oh god. I kind of like This Wish, as I said, but outside of that, the songs in this film are really not very good. And yeah, and the villain song, let's not even get started on. This is the thanks I get. Oh god. Yeah, this was not a good film. Honestly, as the film that was made to celebrate Disney's 100-year anniversary, this was the best they could come up with. Oh dear God. And like, not to mention, there was even some stuff which they were originally gonna do, like they were gonna have the king and queen be a villain couple originally, and they were gonna have the star actually be a star boy who falls for Asha. You have all these interesting ideas, but you just cut them all out for a story that's just way more lackluster. Like, honestly, this film was just wasted potential. It was not a good film, and yeah, between this film and Strange World, Disney is starting to lose its magic. Now for number 8. So now the next 3 entries on this list are all of them have something in common. All of them are demonic horror movies. So yeah, I like to call these 3 films the bad demonic horror films of 2023 trilogy. So we're gonna start things off with the first one, with the least bad of the 3 at number 8. Now, there is a certain viewer of mine who loves this movie, and to that particular viewer, it'll probably piss them off a lot seeing this film on the list. And yeah, I know this film has its fans, but I am not one of them. At number 8, we have The Pope's Exorcist. Now, I knew from the trailers I was not gonna like this film, and yeah, it wasn't very good at all, sadly. Like, the plot just, I mean, it seems like an okay plot, but it just wasn't, it just didn't do enough to make me really care all that much. The dialogue was just really bad. The demon in this film is constantly, he's splurting out so many swear words to kind of make it look like very cool because he's swearing and stuff. It's like, oh, so edgy, but it just comes across as kind of cringy. Like, and not to mention, the film even made me a bit bored at times. Like, there was one certain section during this film where I just completely zoned out because it was boring, honestly. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I know this, you're not really meant to take this film very seriously, and I don't really mind a silly movie every now and again, but for me, this just didn't work because, like, you've got, like, your main protagonist is a real person, so you know, like, honestly, the movie I just thought like the film did a pretty poor job at telling this story with using a real person as its protagonist. For me, the Conjuring films did way better jobs at that. Um, like, I mean, Russell Crowe did seem to be having like a good time here, so yeah, at least there's that. And I mean, like, and like, not to mention, there was some really bad visual effects here, and overall, I know a lot of people like the Pope's Exorcist, but personally, I just did not. Uh, and apparently we're actually meant to be getting a sequel to this film at some point. Like, why does this film need a sequel, honestly? But, well, I mean, maybe the sequel will be better. Like, like if because I might watch this film again sometime, and maybe I'll like it a bit better. But as it stands now, I just did not like this movie. However, with all that being said, I'll still take this film over the next two entries on our list. Speaking of which, number 7. Now, this film is a sequel to a movie which came out in 2018, a movie which I watched in preparation for the sequel, and just like many other people, I thought it was generally a pretty bad movie, and sadly the sequel wasn't really that much better. At number 7, we have the Nonto. Yeah, I did not like the Nonto at all. I mean, it actually makes the Pope's Exorcist look a bit better in comparison. Like, I mean, granted, I do think it is a slight improvement over its predecessor. Like, cause at least cause at least this film does try to be scary. While the first movies didn't try at all. You know what they say, trying and failing is better than not trying at all. And I'll admit, I do think the character of Frenchie in this movie is a bit more tolerable than he was in the first film, because in the first movie I just thought it was really annoying. In terms of other redeeming qualities of Nun 2, I will admit that I do think the cinematography and the dark colour palette is admittedly very nice. Outside of that, though, this is not a good film. The plot just really didn't make me care about what was going on, and like it was split into two plots, and one plot I was more interested in the other, but the film seemed to focus on the less interesting plot. I didn't really care for most of the characters. I wasn't scared by it at all, not even once. And like the pacing in this film, I mean, this movie was a bit longer than the first film, being an hour and 50 minutes. It just seemed to go on forever, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I still think it is a bit better than the first Nun, but again, not by a whole lot. Yeah, so with that, the Nun 2 is just a pretty bad film, and yeah, I just did not like this one. But with that being said, it's still not even the worst demonic horror movie of 2023. Speaking of which, number 6. Now here we come to the third bad demonic horror movie this year, and this one is without a doubt the worst of the three. While I didn't like the Nun 2 or the Pope's Exorcist, at least they didn't spew all over the legacy of a classic film that's considered one of the best horror movies ever made. Yeah, you all know what this entry is. Number 6 is The Exorcist Believer. Oh boy. Like, now, unlike the other two films, from watching the trailers, I knew they were going to be bad. With this film, I actually thought it looked not great, but pretty decent from the trailers. But oh boy, the end project was really bad. Like, oh my god. Like the plot just it wasn't. It was if at times it just felt like a rehash of the original Exorcist plot, but ooh, this time there's two girls, and like the film didn't really make me care about the characters. Oh god, like the way this film treats the character of Chris McNeil, oh my god. Not only is she not in this film as much as the trailer made her out to be, but what they did with her character in this film. And not to mention, the film, it wasn't scary, it was not scary at all. The movie didn't, it just really wasn't scary. It was funny, if anything. There were scenes during the film where I actually just couldn't stop laughing. Especially that body and the blood scene in the church. Good God, that scene had me cracking up. Yeah, so yeah, The Exorcist Believer was just really not a good film, and not in the slightest a worthy successor to the original Exorcist. Like, and yeah, apparently we're going to get two more of these. I mean, granted, David Gordon Green has said that, like, he doesn't actually know if he's going to direct the sequels, so maybe the sequels could improve over this one, but yeah, honestly, this was just not a good movie at all. I bet William Friedkin must be rolling in his grave right now. But hey, at least he didn't live to see the movie. So now we're midway through the list. Coming in at number 5. This was a film I saw early in the year. I saw this movie back in February. And while it's not the worst movie I saw this year, I think, like, along with The Enforcer, this was a really forgettable movie. Coming in at number 5, we have Magic Mike's Last Dance. Now, I'll admit, I don't think the first two Magic Mikes are great films or anything, but they're okay movies despite their flaws. Third installment, though, oh boy, this was not good at all. Like the plot this time about Mike going to London with Salma Hayek's character whose name I can't even remember, and like, you know, they're like doing like a stage show and everything. Like, it's just not a good plot at all, and like, not to mention they didn't even bother to bring back Mike's friends from the previous movies outside of a brief cameo. Like, if they had them come back for this movie, then they could have. I'd say it could have been better than it was, but like, instead they just decided to have all of them not be in this movie, and so that really brought it down. I felt, because this movie was just, it was not very interesting at all. I just felt very bored throughout most of it, and like, I found Salma Hayek's character in this to be really unlikable, and she and Mike just don't have any chemistry whatsoever. Like, not to mention, oh boy, this was a step down from her, like, immediately after Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Like, this was just not a good film at all. This is easily the weakest of the Magic Mike trilogy, and it was just it was boring and very forgettable. Yeah, I did not enjoy Magic Mike's Last Dance at all. I don't think they're going to make another Magic Mike after this. I think this is meant to be the finale of the trilogy, and oh boy, this was not a good ending to the trilogy at all. They should have done way better than this. Number 4. Now this movie is fittingly number 4 because this movie happens to have the word 4 in the title. That's right, number 4 is The Expendables 4. And in case you are wondering, no, I am not going to refer to it by its actual title. Yeah, I do not like this fourth Expendables movie at all. Like, jeez, this film was so bad. It even made the third Expendables movie look decent in comparison. Like the plot this time around, it just feels like the second movie combined with the third movie a bit, and it really doesn't work. The plot structure, I just found it to be like, it was like the movie was really poorly structured. It didn't feel like it had 3 acts that much. Like the pacing was not good at all. Like, I mean, I'll admit Jason Statham kind of makes it a bit enjoyable since there is actually a good portion of the film where it's just his character, like, and it kind of ignores a lot of the other characters. Apparently, this film was actually originally meant to be a spin-off, just focusing on his character. And honestly, I think they definitely should have just done that instead of this, because it would have been a way better film. Not to mention, like they didn't even bother to get any noticeable action stars. I mean, really, the best you could do was 50 Cent and Megan Fox, and and of course I have to bring it up. The CGI in this film was terrible. How this movie cost 100 million to make, I have no idea. Like, the facts that the creator and Godzilla Minus One both have lower budgets than this film, yet those movies look infinitely better. Like, there's so many poor green screens. Everything just looks absolutely fake as heck. This movie just looks like an asylum movie. Yeah, so overall, I really didn't like The Expendables 4. Like, honestly, if they were going to make this film, they should have just made it the film focusing on Jason Statham's character, Lee Christmas, because it could have been way better, but as it is, just a very bad film. Definitely one of the worst of the year. So now we come to the top 3, and these 3 films, I thought these 3 were awful. They are without a doubt my least favourite films of 2023. Let's tear all 3 of them apart. So at number 3, this is another film from Disney, and wow, the fact that Wish wasn't even the worst film Disney put out this year. Well, yeah. At number 3, we have The Little Mermaid. Oh god, I know a lot of people actually liked this one. And no offense, but I just don't really see how. This film, for the most part, it's just a complete rehash of the original film, but with all the heart and soul just taken out of it. I mean, the visual effects weren't the worst, but some of the character designs for Flounder and Sebastian, they just looked very creepy and I found a lot of the characters in this, like Sebastian and especially Scuttle, to be really annoying. Other characters then, Eric and King Triton, were just really bland. Like, and then and like the songs in this, oh my god, like the songs in this film were just they're just utterly like a lot of the songs in the original film were just like utterly boring renditions of them, and then some of the new songs they added were just forgettable and pointless, and oh boy, don't even get me started on that skullbot thing, whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, the only saving grace for this film were the performances from Halle Bailey and Melissa McCarthy. Outside of them, I just really didn't enjoy this one at all. Like, I mean, I don't think it's the worst Disney remake, but with that being said, I just really didn't enjoy this one, and I'm just so sick of Disney and their remakes now. Yeah, I just this was just not a good film in my opinion. Uh, so now we come to number two. Now number two, how this movie even got a theatrical release, I don't know, but number two, while I'm only putting this movie at number two on the list, I honestly think this film is objectively the worst movie of the year. At number two, we have Assassin Club. All you need to do is just watch the trailer, and I think it pretty much speaks for itself. This movie screams direct to video action movie. If you think the Expendables 4 screams direct to video action movie, oh, just wait till you get your eyes on this one, because oh my god, I mean, like the editing is terrible, the action is terrible, the characters are, most of them are just really not very good at all, and not to mention, boy, some of these characters make such incredibly dumb decisions. Like the plot is terrible. Like the way it's, the way it's handled and everything is just, it is just terrible. And it mainly consists of characters just making incredibly dumb decisions. In terms of the few redeeming qualities, I think Daniela Melchior is okay in this, and well, I'll admit this one is laughably terrible. As awful as it is, I still kind of had a bit of a good time with it, because I couldn't help but just laugh at how awful it is, like with how terrible the editing and the cinematography are at times, and oh, like Sam Neill in this movie. Like, clearly he only did this film for a paycheck, and to be fair, he kind of made this movie a bit memorable. But with all that being said, Assassin Club is an awful movie. What kind of saves it is just how much of a joke it is, and just how funny, how unintentionally hilarious it is. And in my opinion, it is objectively the worst film of 2023. But now we come to the number one spot. In my opinion, this film is the worst movie of 2023. What's interesting is that I saw this film all the way back in January. This is another January movie. I saw this film January 28th, and as the year went by, I waited for a film to come out to actually be worse than this movie, but while Assassin Club and the Little Mermaid came a bit close, ultimately this remains as my number one worst movie of the year. At number one, the worst film of 2023, in my opinion, Unwelcome. Now, I knew from the trailer this was probably going to be terrible, but I at least hoped that it would be a laugh, kind of an enjoyably terrible movie, but oh boy, this was not. I mean, the trailer just straight up lies to the audience. Like, they kind of made it look as if it was going to be one way, but it actually ends up going in a completely different direction to what I was expecting. And honestly, I just did not like the direction this movie went with its plot, because like, I mean, the film doesn't sound like too bad of a plot on paper, but I just thought it was executed really poorly. It couldn't pick a tone at all. It couldn't decide whether it wanted to be, scary and kind of dark, or kind of a bit of a funny horror movie. It just couldn't decide. Um, not to mention, like, they even establish one or two things, but never do anything with them. We never really get like a full clearance on everything that goes on. I just think the movie just ends up being way too stupid for its own good. Even some of like the puppets in the film. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do appreciate that they kind of try to be practical with it, but like I just thought like I thought it was just a really awful movie. Like, and like, honestly, all even like the like, I mean, in terms of redeeming qualities, I do think the film has an okay protagonist and Hannah John Cayman's character, but like, I mean, I like the dog character, and some of the kills in this are actually alright, but like even the film just completely skims over certain things that happen. Yeah, I hated this film. I mean, I know there were some people that did like it, and if you like it, fair enough, but more power to you. But this, in my opinion, this is my least favorite movie that I saw in 2023. So that is the end of my list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for my next video, which is going to be my top 20 best movies of 2023. Yeah, so stay tuned for that. I mean, if you guys do like any of the films I mentioned on this list, then that's fine, but me personally, these films just did not work for me. Comment down below what were some of your least favorite movies you saw this year. With that, take care everyone. I'll see you guys next time, and bye.